I have watched, AI respond with more empathy than some human agents. I have seen customers share deeply, personal and financial situations with AI that they would never share with a human.
Welcome to the first episode of the Customer Experience Show, the podcast where we talk to the people running customer experience at some of the world's most interesting companies. We dive into the real decisions, the real trade-offs, and the lessons that only come from handling customer experience at scale. My name is Alex Marantellos. I'll be your host, and I'm the founder of Intrigue, the quality assurance and training platform for customer support teams. Today, we're diving into one of the most urgent conversations in CX right now, AI that lets customers down. Half of consumers say losing access to a human is their number one concern about AI. But the pressure from leadership to deploy AI faster isn't going anywhere. So how do you move fast without breaking trust? Today I'm joined by Avner Firon, Director of Customer Experience at AutoDS. They've been on the front lines of this exact challenge, building support systems that use AI without sacrificing the experience customers actually want. Avner, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'd love
Great.
for you to give a quick introduction of yourself to people, and we can take it from there.
Good. So I'm Avner Firon, as you said, the Director of Customer Experience at AutoDS, with over 15 years of experience in leading B2B and B2C customer support and success organizations. At AutoDS, I oversee a department of 80 people covering global support, success, QA, L&D, knowledge management, reviews, and voice of the customer. AutoDS is a AI-powered dropshipping automation platform serving tens of thousands of users globally. And in my focus right now is building a human AI hybrid support model where AI handles high volume resolution with genuine accuracy, and humans are reserved, for the complexity and empathy that technology cannot replicate. It feels really like, redesign of the CX department as a whole. And, we are at the eye of the storm, so it's super exciting.
That's amazing. Thank you. And we've worked together over the past few months, and I've seen the scale and the velocity that you guys operate. You run a world-class team. You touch everything that has to do with customer experience at AutoDS. So I think everything you have to share has a lot of value for people listening in today. So I'd love to hear from you. What do you actually see on the ground at AutoDS? What is the reality that you're facing every day?
Yeah. Yeah, well, we went all in, on AI at the end of 2025. We chose Fin from, by Intercom, which we call Orin, meaning light or enlightenment in Hebrew. And it serves as our primary resolution layer, what is called autopilot. Very quickly, we were, deflecting 40% of conversations without a human involved. That number, it sounds like a success story by itself, but, the honest version is more complicated. What management, see as a cost reduction metric, the customer, he experiences, a loop sometimes they cannot escape. We learned quickly that the metric and the actual experience are not the same thing. That gap is where, the real work begins.
This is a hard lesson for many to learn after the fact, and the numbers are really, really impressive. It's a prize number what you've achieved, and it sounds like you've seen the entire spectrum of that. This is a real prize metric, and it sounds like you've seen the spectrum of this entire end-to-end experience. So, following up from your last point, what did you actually think that would happen? What actually happened?
Yeah, I expected, AI to handle volume. What I didn't anticipate was how brutally it was, it would expose every internal gap we had. AI doesn't hide process failures like a trained human might. It executes them precisely at scale, thousands of times a day. So early on, we had a misconfiguration, in the first few days in one of our escalation processes. The AI asked the customer the right question, But based on the answer, it should have handed the conversation to a human. It didn't. The handoff never, happened or triggered. The customer trusted the process, followed every step correctly, and the resolution never arrived. That is not an AI failure. That is a process gap the AI made impossible to ignore. The lesson from my side is, AI deployment is not a technology rollout. It is an operational audit forced upon you at speed. And it was, really unexpected. And it led us, we had to really progress really fast.
This is an insight that many people realize after the fact. Not everybody's prepared. I think everybody who's listening in now, there's a lot of CX leaders that I speak to that are going through the same process. So this has real value. From your perspective and from your experience, what does a bad AI interaction look like from a customer's perspective?
Yeah, I think, the most damaging failure is not a wrong answer. It is a confident wrong answer that creates that false expectation. Customers entered, what felt like a real process, got what felt like a real confirmation, and then hit a wall. So, and here is what makes it worse, than a human error. Customers cannot rationalize it, and they feel deceived by the brand itself, not by a person who had a bad day. That is very different kind of, damage to recover from.
And speaking of, when it really goes down to trust, even though AI can bring great benefits to companies and can help you operate at scale and at speed, half of consumers say that losing access to a human is their number one concern. Do companies take it seriously enough, though? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that many companies, treat it as a PR problem. They add a small button, speak to an agent, and they think it's resolved. What customers are really saying is, I do not trust AI to understand my specific situation. And they are partially right because AI excels when the situation matches a known pattern. The moment it is unusual, the AI starts to fail. And the customer knows it even before, the system does. And I will say this because it surprised me. I have watched, AI respond with more empathy than some human agents. I have seen customers share deeply, personal and financial situations with AI that they would never share with a human. So the fear of losing a human touch is real, but the assumption that a human is always the warmer option is not always true. Sometimes, the absence of judgment is exactly what the customer needs. So, it is very serious. And as CX leaders, I think we need to see how we build, that trust with AI for our customers or users.
So definitely a hot take, and hearing that sometimes an AI can come across as more empathetic, depending on the
Yeah,
issue, is
it's
very
crazy.
interesting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and well, we're in a phase where everybody's experimenting a lot right now. People are figuring out what is the best use of AI, what are the best swim lanes, what do we do the escalation, how do we handle triaging, I'm not sure that there is a clean playbook that fits everybody. From your experience, is there a type of customer or issue where AI should never be the first line of response?
Yeah, I don't draw lines by issue type. I think AI can handle every topic and every customer category. Where I draw the line is on outcomes that carry financial and account level consequences. I don't think we are there yet, and even there, the answer is not to remove AI completely. It is to insert maybe a silent human approval gate if needed. The customer sees, the AI working in the background. A human reviews and approves the decision. The customer experiences, continuity. This is something in AutoDS we are currently testing because, I think the future in CX is not AI or human. It is a AI with a human safety layer in exactly the right places.
It's about building systems.
Yes, exactly.
Speaking of systems, they say that a system is as strong as its weakest point. And calling out the elephant in the room, and we're both in the AI industry and customer experience, but there is a real fear about hallucinations. And these are not just trivial errors. It can be a broken promise. So I would love for you to share with the audience, how do you think about that risk and how do you handle it?
Yeah, well, we saw a couple of those, in the beginning, or more often in the beginning, and we learned really fast. I think the hallucination in support conversation is a broken promise, as you said, which might cost you a customer. Um, if the AI, tells the customer that they are eligible for something and they act on it, that is your problem to solve, not the AI. So, as I said, we had a case where Orin, for example, was telling customers they need to contact support. Orin is the support. The customer followed the instruction and landed right back in Orin. So it's a loop. You cannot exit. When we traced it back, of course, we kind of found it in an article saying something like, if this happens, contact support. Once we fixed it, the hallucination, disappeared. So it's really important, correcting those mistakes at the source. And that is what, keeps the AI accurate and the customers trusting it.
Makes sense. You said earlier that deploying AI at scale, it's like a forced audit coming at you with great, great speed. And when you're handling live thousands of conversations, how do you actually know that it's performing well, and how do you know that on time?
Yeah. So that for that, or here comes, how would you say it, like QA. That's why we need QA for. Basically, most QA processes were built for human agents and do not scale to the AI volume. When a human has a bad day, you review, 5 conversations, that's it. When AI has a systematic flow, it expresses that flow across thousands of conversations simultaneously. So the monitoring has to match that reality. So with AutoDS, we were sampling about, manually 2% of all conversations. And then, of course, we met and we decided, to go with Intric, and we jumped immediately to 12% of coverage. And with automated scoring, we now can, push that to a near full coverage on any topic we want, DSAT category we want to investigate, which is amazing. The signals we watch are, resolution rates, CSAT score, CX scores, sentiment score. We can talk about it a bit later. DSAT conversations and so on. And on top of that, manual tagging by agents. If anything feels off, and when something surfaces, we track it, as I said, back to the source. And almost, every time it's something you need to fix either in an article, content, or in a procedure. So you fix those and the AI corrects itself. And on top of that, we have Claude. We connected Claude to Intercom and Intric to help us, fine tune the prompts. So it's kind of a triangle, we monitor everything all the time, because accuracy is not a one-time configuration. It is a continuous discipline.
This is you giving your playbook to the world right now. This is kind of like free education for everybody going through all of that. I think it's great. These are all the secrets and the insights that you can't really find easily out on the internet right now. And you kind of have to build it with experience, like you guys are doing.
Sure,
Uh,
you're right.
you mentioned, you said something about metrics earlier, and there is a lot of confusion, and also there's a lot of debate right now on what is the best metric to go about when measuring CX. There has been CISA, there is NPS, there is sentiment. There's a big debate that CISA is dead, CISA is not dead. You need a combination of those. So I would love to know what is the metric that you trust the most to tell that your AI and your entire CX team is working.
Yeah, CSAT. So for sure, with when you have lower scale, with a small amount of tickets, CSAT is even harder because of the fact that we rely on the response rates. So for me, even in higher scale operation, CSAT is a lagging indicator and too blunt for AI evaluation. A customer can give you, 4 out of 5 and still receive, wrong information because the interaction felt smooth in the moment. I think that at the end of the day, I trust the resolution accuracy. Did the AI actually resolve the issue correctly? And we need to differentiate between deflection rate and resolution accuracy. They are very different things. Confusing them is how I think organizations deceive themselves about AI performance. You can have, 60% deflection and terrible customer outcomes at the same time. Most dashboards, will not tell you that unless you really look for it. Beyond that, I think that CX leaders today need to be tracking what we call CX score or sentiment score. With the AI and the technology, I think we are getting there. This measures how customers actually felt during the conversation based on their sentiment in real time, not what they, clicked on a survey 2 days later. With today's technology, I think we can analyze the tone and outcome of every conversation at scale and understand whether, customers left feeling helped or frustrated. This is, I think, much more honest signal. When you combine those resolution accuracy and the sentiment-based scoring, you get a real picture of what is actually happening, not just what your dashboards wants you to believe.
Yeah, it goes. You always take me back to your systems thinking and using the right metric for the right reason. It's kind of like using the right tool for the right job.
Exactly.
And I'm sure a lot of people would ask that question if they had a conversation with you like I do. What is one piece of advice that you give to a CX leader being pressured to deploy AI fast?
Yeah, I have a couple of suggestions. So, yeah, hard, learn the hard way. So, yeah, first of all, audit your processes before you automate them, of course. Whatever is broken in your human support operation will become exponentially more visible when AI runs it at scale. If your knowledge base is a mess, your AI will confidently deliver that mess to every customer around the clock. And it's something, we learned the hard way, but fast when we deployed Intercom and the AI. For example, we saw that 3 different articles talk about the same thing. And from the human perspective, you like those short articles, right? But for AI, we learned that we need to combine the 3, one long article. For AI, it's much simpler, and then it's much more accurate. So there are things that you have to learn and adapt really fast in terms of the operation. And bottom line, AI is not plug and play. We really felt or thought in the beginning, let's say 6 months ago, it's going to be pretty easy. There's some configurations needed to be done and set up, but it's not like that. You need, a content writer, an AI lead. You need developers on call when something breaks and you need access to the database. It's not, one-time setup. An ongoing operation inside your operation. It feels like, I have seen companies, they hand the rollout to a team lead already doing 2 jobs. Like, for example, the team lead of tier 2 is the content owner, and tier 1 team leader is the AI owner, and now run with it. And it's really hard to focus. And you can even see in these situations 70% deflection. But under the hood, once you check, you actually find, customers in loops, and the CSAT is in free fall. The metric looked great. The experience was a failure. In addition, but before any of that, I think you need to frame it right internally, and this is super important. Align your leadership on what success looks like in year 1, for example. Target 40% resolution rate on your highest volume topics first. fast wins, on the questions users ask most. Be explicit that, be explicit that you are replacing tier one volume with AI and upgrading your humans into tier two judgment roles. Without that framing, people naturally, your leadership might chase 80% resolution rates from day one and pushing deflection numbers at cost of customer and employee experience. So high CSAT and CX scores along the way will confirm accuracy is improving, but without that, the right framing, no number will ever feel like enough. So it's really, really important. And last thing, I will also add, and not many talk about it, some people will go home, unfortunately. That's really, really painful, and it's hard. As a CX leader with the AI, with the implementation, and the evolution of CX, I faced hard times, that aspect that nobody talked about. We always talked about, human upgrading their skills and so on. And it's right. I have seen AI respond, with more accuracy and more empathy than human agents sometimes when you look at tickets. That forces a hard question about what my remaining team needs to become. And the answer is to raise the bar. You have to raise the bar, upgrade the people into real service professionals, not just ticket closers. And the leaders who get get this right, plan for both the exits and the upgrades correctly.
Thank you for sharing. I think this is really insightful. And what I'm hearing is, as with every new technology, it is not only a technology issue, it's also a people and a change management issue. And a great leader needs to make sure that the frame is set correctly for this to be able to be successful and run at scale.
Yeah, yeah.
And also it sounds like, and I know you've put a lot of thought into how to integrate humans in the loop, that you can't just have AI running wild in an organization, that humans are the architects. They're a very, very important component and should be placed correctly in this process. So how does a healthy hybrid and AI support model actually look like in practice, in your opinion?
Yeah. I think that, AI should handle or handles the majority of resolutions with speed, consistency, and zero wait time. And humans are generally available, for the conversations that require judgment, complexity, and real empathy. I think the handoff between AI and humans is not a failure mode. It is a design feature. Companies getting this wrong treat escalations as a fallback. Companies getting it right, I treat it as a premium experience, I think. That distinction matters more than any deflection rate.
Well, I gotta say that I love your vision, because you've had that vision since day one, and you've done everything you could to support that vision and bring it into fruition. You have confidence in what you're saying. You have confidence in how you deploy things, and you figure out ways to make this happen. I'm sure that a lot of CX leaders out there would love to have that confidence vision and to be able to follow and execute it in this way. And you've gotten this more right over time. I would love to know throughout the process what changed: tooling, process, team mindset.
Yeah. What changed? I think all three, but I would, the sequence matters. So I would start with tooling, because you cannot improve, what you cannot measure. Then the process, because the tooling will expose gaps, as I said before, you didn't, know existed. Then mindset. And that's the hardest part. You can buy tooling overnight, you cannot buy mindset. So on the process side, the biggest shift was, learning to test before we publish. That was a big one. Every change gets evaluated for impact before it goes live. When you are touching AI, that handles thousands of conversations a day, a careless change doesn't cause one bad interaction. It causes thousands. And sometimes, in the reports, you don't see it right away. It could be 1 or 2, percentage decrease, and you really need to be alert on that and double click on it. On the people side, my team had to stop seeing AI as a threat, and it was a big and a bit long kind of effort with a lot of trainings and mentoring and showing them and sharing tools and everything around it. And in order to start seeing it as a tool that removes the work, nobody actually wanted to do anything with it. The agents who made that shift became more valuable, not less. They moved from, like transaction handlers to judgment specialists. That is, I think, a better job actually. But it doesn't, happen overnight or it's by its own. It requires, deliberate investment, as I said, in upskilling the right people and full alignment from every manager. We saw really fast with the deployment. We had to also align and bring into the picture early on all the managers. So you have to get their engagement first. If your managers are not actively, helping their teams learn and adapt, the mindset, change stalls at the top and never reaches, the floor. Managers are the bridge between AI strategy and human reality. If that bridge is not engaged, I think the gap doesn't close.
And this is real leadership, not only optimizing for the business, but also bringing people up. And then all of that gets paid out into a great customer experience.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing. We have gotten your advice to CX leaders about deploying AI, but I'm gonna flip the narrative now. Let's say that we have a frustrated customer listening now that they've had a very annoying or frustrating AI experience. And what would you want them to know?
I want them to know that the intent is genuine. We are deploying AI not to avoid you. The old model was already, I think, failing you. Long queues, repetition, inconsistency, a different answer depending on which agent you reached. I think the promise of AI is your question answered in seconds, not hours, with the same answer every time. We are not there yet, but the CX leaders working on this seriously are not replacing the human experience, as I said before. They are removing the parts of it that were never good to begin with.
Thank you. And this can be seen very easily, I think, across different services when the escalation paths are clear, the triaging is clear, when you can get a fast answer, and you said, and then go to a human when you need to talk to a human, and that is frictionless. You can see when a system is designed well and that you're actually not avoiding the customers. You said that you want to expedite that, you want to make the experience better.
Exactly.
Um, I wanna get one last hot take from you from this conversation. It's been great. What is one thing about AI and customer experience that the industry is still getting wrong that nobody wants to say out loud?
Mm, yeah, the other day I spoke to a peer of mine, from a different company, and he's about to deploy AI. And we spoke about it. And again, he came up with, deflection rates. And I'm like, why? What? Oh my God. Deflection rate is a vanity metric, and the industry is celebrating the wrong number. What is actually happening behind those, 40, 50, 60% deflection figure is a customer that asks a question. The AI gives an incomplete answer. The customer rephrases. The AI responds, with an incomplete variation of inadequate answer, and the customer, the user, stays in the loop. The entire loop counts as a deflection, by the way. So the dashboard looked perfect. The customer experience was a failure. So configuration is what determines whether you succeed or fail at AI. A poorly configured, AI will fail customers confidently and at scale. And your metrics not always will, catch it because they were not designed to. The leaders generally ahead move their North Star from deflection rate to resolution accuracy, and they are honest with themselves about the gap between those two numbers in their own operation.
Amazing. Let me summarize. Avoid vanity metrics, design systems, put the right humans in the loop, up level your organization, look at substance, really care about the customer experience and the resolution. And probably these are the core main ingredients for building a great customer experience with AI at scale. Thank you so much, Avner, for joining us today. That has been great learning from you, and thank you for sharing so openly and transparently. And honestly, your opinion. What is a platform or somewhere that people can connect with you and can follow your AI journey?
Yeah, sure. So connect on LinkedIn mainly. I share, I actually do share what is happening in our operation and all the kind of lesson learned that we face every day. Yeah, sure. It will be fun connecting and knowing new people around the globe. And of course, if I can help in any way, that's my kind of purpose in life. So I would love to.
Thank you so much. To our audience, if this conversation resonated, share it with a CX leader in your world who's navigating the same AI questions right now. It's a conversation everyone's having privately. Let's make it public. We're on X, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify at Intrigue, INTRYC. See you in the next episode. Thank you, Avner.
Thank you. Thank you very much.